I think that certainly FEMA and the National Guard responded when red states were hit and when Texas and Florida were hit, and also just incredible volunteer response, people bringing their boats out and responding. What's really worrying is that we are not seeing that type of response in the face of what is happening to U.S. citizens in Puerto Rico. And it's not just that it's not a red state that voted Trump, it's also that this is this complicated colonial history where people are U.S. citizens, but they actually don't vote at all. And we're seeing just extraordinary levels of neglect, and it didn't begin with this hurricane. It far predates it, and because there was such a weak and neglected public infrastructure, frankly, as in New Orleans during Katrina, when it was hit with the heavy weather, it just knocked it right out. So Puerto Rico is in a really, really rough shape right now, and I think very much like people in New Orleans, going, where is the cavalry? Where is our government in our hour of need?
But looking generally, though, are your worst fears about President Trump being realized, or when you see him reaching out to Democrats over whether it's debt or immigration, are you actually having to reconcile yourself to the fact that maybe he's turning out better than you hoped?
Look, hasn't been able to accomplish everything that he wanted to accomplish because there has been incredible pushback, whether it was on the Muslim travel ban, whether it was on healthcare. He tried very hard, but resistance from below, just people bombarding their representatives, has deprived him of some of the worst that he wanted to do. The courts were also very good on the Muslim travel ban. The reason why what I've always said, that what I was most worried about with Trump was how he would exploit a major domestic terror attack, economic crash, also natural disasters. And frankly, I think we are seeing some of what I most feared and what I wrote about in my last book in Puerto Rico. We're already hearing the calls from politicians in Washington that even while Puerto Rico's lights are still out, that this should be a wake-up call about the need to privatize Puerto Rico's electricity utility, to privatize roads and bridges. So this is exactly what I feared most. But I always knew that we would not see the worst of Trump except when he had a major shock to exploit. We certainly saw how he exploited terror attacks in the UK to push his Muslim travel ban and to push some of his most regressive anti-immigrant platforms.
You described him in your speech today as the equivalent of a Fatberg just lodged there. How do you think the left could best dislodge him?
Not just lodged there, but an amalgamation of all that is noxious in the culture, actually, is what I said.
Indeed.
Much like the Fatberg, cooking grease and baby wipes. All of that. I believe that the best way to dislodge him is to run a candidate against him who speaks directly to the daily emergency in people's lives. I frankly think that the Democratic Party could learn a lot from Jeremy Corbyn's Labour Party. I worry that so many politicians in the Democratic Party seem to think that they can just run against Trump in the next election. Luckily, we have a figure like Bernie Sanders, who has led this initiative to get senators to endorse a bill for single-payer health care. It's quite unprecedented to have 17 senators endorsing this bill for universal public health care in the United States. And I think that if the Democratic Party can come up with a platform that has bold policies like that, much as the Labour Party did, in your last election, I think that they will excite their base, which they were not able to do sufficiently in the last election. I think they will reach constituencies that have tuned out from politics. It's always amazing to me that 90 million Americans did not vote. 90 million people who decided that politics had nothing to offer them. So to me, it's less about peeling away Trump's base. I think there's a little of that can be done, and more about riling up the natural constituency of the Democratic Party and reaching people who feel like both parties have abandoned them.
I mean, there you are at the Labour Party conference. Do you really think that Jeremy Corbyn can win an election, or do you hear what some are saying, that a lot of people voted Labour at the last election because they thought that he wouldn't win and it was safe to do so?
I absolutely believe that he can win. Every time I see him speak, I think he seems more electable. I think that his poll numbers show this, that no, people, not only did they vote for him during this election campaign, but if they had an election tomorrow, more people would.
I mean, you talked in your speech today about openly racist parties gaining ground, most recently in Germany. There's been a row there today about anti-Semitism within the Labour Party. Are you surprised that the High Command hasn't stamped on that quicker?
Well, the High Command, such as it is actually doing a lot. They've put forward a plan on the table that is being voted on today to give them the power to crack down more forcefully on anti-Semitic and other forms of hate speech, so that they can deny people, strip people of their party membership right away. And look, as a Jewish woman, I would not be here if I was not absolutely sure that Jeremy Corbyn is no kind of anti-Semite. And look, anti-Semitism is something that exists throughout society, just like misogyny, and there's these attempts to turn it into a partisan political issue.
But is there a particular...
I live in North America, and the people in Charlottesville, sorry, I just want to finish this thought. The people marching with torches in Charlottesville, who are expressing the most openly anti-Semitic sentiments that has ever happened in my lifetime, are on the right. So, the idea that this is somehow a gotcha thing for the left, is completely wrong as far as I'm concerned.
But isn't there a particular problem at the moment that we're witnessing with anti-Semitism and misogyny on the left? Is it more of a problem on the left than it is on the right in Britain, from what you've seen? I know you're there, you've not been there very long.
No, but, I know a little bit about British society, and I think that, anti-Semitism exists across the political spectrum, and this attempt to try to turn it into a partisan issue is just that. It's just partisan politics. I think the same goes for the fact that women are consistently targeted and harassed by trolls online on the right and the left. It's a problem. It is not a partisan problem. It is a misogyny problem.